And actually, San Francisco, they had, at one point, they had narcs go onto the trains for the BART system looking for pot, and they busted this guy for pot, and it made the newspapers, and everyone was so pissed off. It's like, we're glad the guy wasn't driving, you know? So they made him stop taking the dogs.
Everybody was mad at the cops.
Yeah, they made him stop taking the dogs on the public transit as a result of that, because they said, if he's on the BART, we'd rather have.
See, that's the Bay Area having common sense. Quit busting potheads for taking public transportation, dumbass. You want them driving? You're an idiot. You know what I'm saying? And it's just good. Let's have some common sense. Let's all be grown-ups and adults. I think that's the biggest... I don't know. I had a word, but I lost it.
Yeah.
Because pot makes you forgetful. It's the biggest...
Actually, that's not true.
What's not true?
Pot doesn't make you forgetful. What pot does is it puts you in a state of distraction so that instead of making the initial imprint, you start thinking of something else.
Sure.
It's like, the classic example to me is somebody who's like, they're talking about something that they're working on, and then Pink Floyd comes on the radio or something. They're going, oh, that Pink Floyd, aren't they really great? And I like Pink Floyd or Zeppelin better. And then they're thinking, what was I talking about? But if you say we were talking about your project, they'll remember exactly what they were talking about. Sure. It's just they've been distracted.
It's like a Ram versus Rom issue. You know what I'm saying?
That's exactly correct.
You're saying marijuana makes you interested in lots of things at one time, right?
And it causes what we call tangential thinking, which means one thing makes you lead to the next thing, to the next thing.
How many pot smokers does it take to change a light bulb? You want to go for a walk?
So another myth out there is that nobody gets busted for pot, and as we all know, about 800,000 people a year get busted for having pot. Another myth is that bongs are safer than joints. Fact of the matter is, there's a little difference. The bongs are safer in terms of you don't suck down burning embers and ash, but you get more benzene, more carbon monoxide, and more carbon dioxide than you get from smoking a joint. So a joint is really safer in terms...
Sorry, I have a question. I mean, I'm old school. I like joints personally, but what would be the safest, most effective smoking device? Clean glass pipe?
I would think a vaporizer.
Yeah, vaporizer wins every time.
All right. Well, when they make a vaporizer that I can buy at the 7-Eleven for 99 cents at 3 in the morning, then I'll start carrying it in my pocket.
But actually, the joint really comes in second if you throw away your roach. If you keep your roach and smoke it all the way down, it doesn't do as well. And the thing with pipes is you have to be careful about the buildup of that little black gunk.
Soak it in alcohol overnight?
Well, yeah, but if you suck down some of that tarry stuff, there's some not really good stuff in it.
For you, is what
yeah, in fact, there's some concerns that there's some mouth cancers that are caused because of that buildup of that crap. Whether tobacco or marijuana, it's the same problem with it. The stems get this little slimy crap.
Chris, are you saying that we should stop saving that black gunk for the tougher days?
Yeah, the hobo hash.
Okay.
And don't put your little nug in the chamber and let it get all resonated. You know what I'm talking about? Old school style. Yeah. And no making the Dr. Dankenstein joints out of parts of old joints.
Well, actually, the chamber points was...
Grandma's tomato sauce that never ends or whatnot. I've had the same joint since 1983, brother. We just keep switching it out, man. It occupies the same space as the one I rolled at the show in Atlanta.
But those chambered pipes, at the same time that you're smoking it, you're building the buildup of residue from the smoke. But remember, you're also vaporizing the THC off of the bud because of the warm temperature. And so it's not really going to be stronger. If anything, you might have a trade-off.
So there's a myth. We just busted again.
Yeah, could you actually give us a cleaning tip, actually, for those glass pipes?
Yeah.
Oh, just keeping them clean is the main thing.
Yeah, how?
There's a couple different ways that I like to use. Hints from Hempfest. There's a few methods that I've been trying. There's the overnight soak and rubbing alcohol, which is very simple. If you're kind of in a hurry, you can just get some regular salt and some rubbing alcohol and pour it in your pipe, plug up the holes, and just shake it kind of vigorously, and that'll remove a lot of the gunk. I used to use the boiling technique for pipes that you didn't want to manhandle too much. You just put it in a pot full of water and boil it for about 45 minutes, but it stinks up your house and you smell like resin, so that's not good. But what I discovered the other day is get a little Pyrex bowl and fill it with water, put your pipe in there, put it in the microwave for about 6 minutes on high, and that'll burn that stuff right out, and then you can Windex or pledge the microwave and it doesn't smell as bad. I just figured that out last week, so I'm very happy. So there.
Yeah, and the salt and water one I know is pretty good. Now, does anybody know...
Salt and alcohol.
Salt and alcohol, excuse me, yeah.
Salt
does anybody know about it? Yeah, salt and water may not. But in terms of the environmental aspect of using that much alcohol, I always feel bad about using the alcohol because I'm not going to drink it or use it. I mean, isopropyl alcohol is what we're talking about, so you don't drink it anyway. But I mean, I'm not going to use it for anything else.
Please, Chris, please don't drink the isopropyl.
Now that will cause brain damage. Drinking isopropyl alcohol.
We'd have to get
actually drinking the bong water may have some benefits because the residue that collects on the bong is the part of it is the oily cannabinoids that are being. But then at the same time, we've got that other problem which I mentioned.
The bone water.
we really
don't even want to bring that up. That's like German porn. We shouldn't even talk about that here. That's like for people doing their private lives.
Well, really want to put it this way, it may not be as bad as people say, but I still don't recommend it.
Yeah, I'm not saying I've ever done it or never done it. I'm just saying that I don't talk about it here. That's what I'm saying. It's a family show.
Here's another one that every marijuana plant puts.
By the way, Chris, I'm glad you wrote a list because apparently none of us. We all counted on Chris. We're like, Chris.
Our organization, Family Council on Drug Awareness, was formed to counter the Partnership for Drug-Free America's lies. And so we spent a lot of our time looking at the studies that they used. Well, first off, we found out they don't use studies. And then the second thing we found out is when they do use studies, they misquote them.
How do they get their numbers? They just have a guy and they just go up to his butt and they just pull out some numbers. We just pull these numbers on this guy's ass.
It's called a rectal extraction.
Rectal extraction method. It's very scientific. It's very scientific.
But anyway, the average plant does not produce...
Wait, Mason's going to say something.
Well, I mean, at the risk of sounding like the bad guy here, I think to assume that every number that we use is correct and every number that people who are against us use is incorrect is a myth.
But we're the good guys.
We are the good guys, and I think that we need to, I think far too often people in this movement try to suggest that everyone against us is lying and we're not. And we're all cherry-picking statistics and we're all saying what helps our cause, and I don't think that so I just encourage people not to use euphemism and not to use a hyperbole when they're, there's nothing wrong with driving under the influence of marijuana. It's fine.
We didn't say that, did we?
Well, I'm just saying. I mean, like a lot of times where we say, oh, it doesn't do anything wrong. It's perfectly good, but other drugs are bad. There are issues, for young people. There's issues with airways. There's a lot of things. I think that when we discuss them, and we concede that there are sometimes these studies that do show negative things, we come off as a lot more legitimate, and people understand that because in the end, I mean, this drug is relatively benign.
Well, I think by being honest with people, you can build a real bridge to your constituencies because you're right, they do perceive you as being honest, you're someone they can trust, and what's more is remember people, we're talking about public policy here. We're talking about drug policy, you're talking about public policy, and the nature of public policy, the purpose of it is to mitigate any problems, to figure out a way that we can implement a system that works the best for everybody, that would reduce the harms, and that's why we're so into harm reduction as a movement. And so we don't want to make things illegal, we want to make them better. And we're not going to be able to ever bridge ourselves to the quote-unquote soccer moms and dads of the world if we're going to keep insisting upon the extremes that everything is just wonderful all the time, pot is all good and no bad. We do, and I'm glad we're having this panel because this is a great opportunity to educate people and for them to spread that. Stop spreading these myths,
One unabashed plug, and that's for your best source of objective information on drug policy, including marijuana. Come to my website, drugwarfacts.org.
I like how you use your radio voice when you say that too.
Or my website,
We try our best, my friend, trust me. This is
Okay, wait.
Next on Hot 90
And there's also the marijuana.
Wait, I'm the moderator, damn it. Time, gentlemen, please. I hold the conch shell. Look, sucks to your ass. Wait, we're running out of time at this point. So everybody gets a minute or two. We're going to go right to left, stage left to, starting over there. That's my point. With Dominic.
All right, so what I guess, besides the myth that actually the war on drugs and the war on cannabis are just about cannabis or just about drugs, but are related to the bigger issues, that's a big one. And I think that the one that can be easily identified is the fact that we're supposed to have a two-party system in which one is supposed to really sort of like, discipline the other in some way, shape, or form. That discipline can't happen unless we discipline the oppositional party, right? And so, on the one hand, to the extent that we've got two parties in the system, is that we've got to actually make